Aloha, you're watching F5 On Demand. I'm Technical Marketing Manager Peter Silva. We're here in San Francisco at the Moscone Center for Oracle OpenWorld 2012 in booth 1527, so if you're at the show, come on by. And I have one of my most frequent and favorite guests today, Chris Akker. He's one of our business development solution architects covering our global Oracle Alliance. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Sure thing. Thanks, Pete.
And so today we're going to show you a little bit about the BIG-IP solutions for Oracle Enterprise Manager, right, Chris?
Yes, exactly.
And so can you tell us a little bit about Oracle's Enterprise Manager?
So Oracle Enterprise Manager is their management platform and framework for managing the entire Oracle tech stack, from the application servers to middleware and to the database. And we have several solutions that we've worked with the Enterprise Manager team to provide high availability, load balancing, security, optimization for access through that system. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to show you a couple of those things. And they just released a new version of Enterprise Manager called 12C, the C being the key for cloud control. So that's why we're standing at the cloud station at F5. So we're going to show you how you can use Enterprise Manager and F5 technology together to manage Oracle and your cloud.
How timely is that? Great idea, Chris. Okay, so first up we have the deployment guide. So tell us a little bit about this.
So this is the actual deployment guide written by F5. We tested this with the Oracle Enterprise Manager team to make sure we had all the settings correct. And it provides high availability for what's called the OMS system, Oracle Management System, and gives administrators access to the console and those things. So this is the step-by-step guidance on how to configure BIG-IP to provide high availability.
And if you can't get to the white paper or don't want to, how many pages is it?
So this is about 25, 30 pages. You will find this on f5.com/Oracle, and there's a section in there for Enterprise Manager, and you'll find this new deployment guide.
And it's great, right, to follow along, very detailed, very step-by-step, but I also understand we have an iApp that essentially takes this information and you can build it easily within the BIG-IP now.
That's correct. So one of the things the Enterprise Manager team asked us, even like over a year ago, was how can we make it easier for our customers who are not normally network admins, they're Oracle admins.
Right.
How can we make it easier for them to actually configure and deploy BIG-IP for use with Enterprise Manager? And in version 10, we had what were called templates.
Yep.
And in BIG-IP version 11, we have what are called iApps. So we wrote an iApp that actually allows you to configure BIG-IP for Enterprise Manager in about 30 seconds. And I'm going to show that to you.
All right, let's check it out. And so the iApps are great. We've basically taken all of that information in the documentation, turned it into, if you want to, right, you go under main and then iApp.
Yeah, so you start at the iApp, and what you're going to do is click the Create button, and you're going to give this application a name, and so we'll just call it EM12C as a shortcut.
And so to kind of complete my thought, taking everything within the deployment guide and then building it easily into the UI to quickly deploy the Oracle Enterprise Manager.
Right, so this template is available on DevCentral, .f5.com, so you would download and import this into your BIG-IP. You have to be running BIG-IP version 11.
Yep.
And so you select it at the bottom of the list here, and it's basically only going to ask you two questions.
Okay.
What virtual IP do you want to use? And what is the IP address of your actual OMS servers?
Wow.
So I'm going to fill that out.
Okay.
So as an example, I'm going to type 1.1.1.1 for my VIP.
And that's RFC 1918, huh?
Yep. And I'm going to say my OMS servers, in this case, we'll just say I got two of them.
Okay.
Servers 2.2.2.2 and 3.3.3.3.
Same as my home network.
That's right, exactly. And there are other questions here, but we've already filled in the answers for you for a typical enterprise manager deployment.
Okay.
Specifically, what ports are the services running on, and what kind of health checks do you want the BIG-IP to use to make sure that the OMS service is running?
And this might be quite helpful for those who might not be that familiar with Oracle and the specific ports that they use. So being able to automatically pre-fill in the ports probably helps quite a bit instead of, oh, what port was that again?
Right, so there are tools obviously in Enterprise Manager that will display its configuration and tell you. So if you have done a non-standard install, then you would want to look at that information and change the appropriate port numbers, but we filled in the defaults for you.
Yep.
And so there are 4 Enterprise Manager services. There's access to the secure console with HTTPS.
Okay.
There's unsecured access to the console with normal HTTP. There's a service called Secure Upload. That's where the servers actually have an agent that uploads software to the OMS.
Okay.
And then there is what's called agent registration, which is what happens when you deploy a brand new server and you have to register that server with the OMS system.
Gotcha.
So those are the 4 VIPs. Now, like you said earlier, if you were doing this using the old method of point, click, and fill in the deployment guide, this would be 25, 30 pages of looking through F5 or Oracle documentation to fill out all those individual steps and create all those settings.
Right.
But I just typed in 3 IP addresses, right? 1 VIP and 2 servers.
And click finish.
And I clicked the finish button. And I already did this, so we're going to have to retake this.
Why?
Well, because I already used 1.1.1.
Okay, well, let's just change another one.
Yeah,
this is actually not bad because this is what potentially could happen as you're going through. And the great thing I've noticed about BIG-IP, especially over the last couple of versions, is if you make a minor mistake, even just forgetting to fill in the name, the BIG-IP will say, whoa, time out. Let me tell you exactly what's going on here so you can fix it. So you can, correct this and get this thing continued again. So I think we're good.
Yeah. So it says that this virtual IP and port 443 for the secure console have already been used.
Yep.
Well, that's because I used this template earlier and I used the same IP address. So now we're going to run it again, but this time I'm going to say I want to use virtual IP address with a 2 on the end. And I'm also going to change my host addresses because I don't want to duplicate those either.
Okay.
Okay? So let's try it again.
A real world example. And look at that.
So, I'm going to explain what you're seeing. This is what's called the component view of an iApp. And what it is at the virtual server level, and underneath it are all the dependent objects that you need in order to make that virtual server work.
Right.
Like the pools and the servers and the monitors and things like profiles that control things like TCP or HTTP and persistence and all of that stuff that's in that 30-page deployment guide. This does it for you automatically.
Yep.
So if we look at the secure console as an example, you will see there's the 2 servers.
Yep.
Listening on the correct ports.
And the type that they are, giving, pool member, node, virtual address.
And we have a persistence profile created automatically for you. We automatically created a TCP LAN profile and a TCP WAN profile. So instead of creating 6 or 7 objects per virtual server, all you had to do was type in some IP addresses.
Yeah, and they would have had to gone, local traffic.
Right.
Virtual servers, create nodes, create pools.
Monitor,
And if you didn't have them in before, the iApp, if you could just click virtual servers, doink in the server list, these were the ones that were created via the iApp.
Right. So these are the 4 brand new ones, EM12C. The previous iApp we were doing for eBusiness Suite as an example.
Yep.
But these are your virtual servers that were created. And there are the pools that are created. Now they're showing red because we don't have any real servers, obviously. But you can actually then go in, and if you made a mistake or if you wanted to change something, you can still go back into your BIG-IP config now after you've run the template and modify things. Or you can go right back and run the wizard all over again and just change the IP addresses right? Or the ports or whatever you need to change. So this makes it very easy to take a 30-page document and turn it into a 30-second exercise. And you know within about a minute, when things go green, that you've got it properly configured.
Yeah, you got a working config. And I also understand you have one final BIG-IP solution for the Oracle Enterprise Manager?
Yeah, so in addition to working on the iApp and Enterprise Manager 12c LTM stuff, we've actually been working with the maximum availability architecture team at Oracle to write a white paper on how to use GTM, Global Traffic Manager, to handle site-to-site failover if you had like a catastrophic disaster in one data center.
Yep.
If you think about it, you have to have high availability for your management framework, because your management framework is how you're controlling all your servers and services. So if you have a disaster in a data center, the first thing that needs to switch over to the other data center is your management platform, in this case, Enterprise Manager. So we actually are writing a white paper. I'll show you what the cover page looks like with the maximum availability architecture team that we're going to publish here in a couple of weeks. That gives you the detailed step-by-step on how to set up not just LTM, but GTM in both data centers, and make sure that everything is configured and synchronized, and that if you do have a failure, GTM is going to handle routing your admins over to active deployment of Enterprise Manager.
And it might not be a catastrophe that causes it. It could just be typical business continuity, or there might be some issues in one, and making sure that, or even users might be coming from another location, directing them to the most appropriate data center.
Yeah, the most common use cases are obviously disaster recovery. There are customers that use GTM all the time for maintenance windows.
Sure.
They actually manually fail over to their standby data center, A, to test that it really works, but B, that gives them a maintenance window in the primary data center to do some upgrades or some changes or things that they need, but they can still maintain their business and keep running in their standby data center. So GTM gives you a lot of those tools and flexibility to control that.
Right. Great stuff, Chris.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us. And so there you have it, a little bit more information of a number of the BIG-IP solutions for Oracle's Enterprise Manager, particularly the 12C, and the C means cloud.
C for cloud, that's right.
So for Chris, once again, my good buddy Jonathan behind the lens, I'm Peter, reporting from San Francisco, and we're with F5 Networks. Thanks for watching.